pleasure to be speaking with you today, Edwin Dande, the founder, CEO and managing partner of Cytonn Investments. Thanks for making the time. And we also look forward to hosting you on Saturday at Mindspeak, and there's been so much interest. Edwin, I just want to start by asking, who is Edwin? Do you want to tell us a little bit about you? We see the adverts everywhere, Cytonn, Cytonnaires, and who is Edwin?
Thanks a lot, Ali Khan. Thanks for making the time to chat with us. Interesting question. Who is Edwin? Depends on the context. Of course, first and foremost, Edwin is a father and a husband. Family always comes first, and part of a family of 9 siblings, and myself being the eldest. So first and foremost, Edwin is a family man, and Edwin cares about family issues. But in the context of what you talked about, managing partner and chief executive officer, I would say I'm a team leader of a team that is passionate about one thing, the interest of the investing clients. We're in a developing market, which essentially means there are many things that remain an aspiration that we need to get to, whether it is great healthcare, whether it's better roads, better education, but in our context, it is the best return for the clients. If you look at the returns clients are making in this country, especially the public client, for lack of a better word, I would call them mediocre returns. People are in equities, fixed income, and fixed bank deposits, which are great, but they cannot be the only part of your portfolio. You have to allocate 10, 15, 20% of your portfolio to what we call alternative investments. As an alternative...
Is that the category you are in?
That is our core business, real estate and private equity. Most people don't have access to that asset class. They are invested in 10 to 12% per annum. We are offering them the opportunity for 18 to 25% per annum. So in the context of Cytonn, a team leader for a group that is passionate about investing on behalf of our clients. Yeah.
Let me ask you about Cytonn. I've visited twice, and every time I come, it's expanded. How big are you today? How many people are we talking about here?
I think when we met Ali Khan, it was probably just a year after we had started.
Yes.
But let me just go back to the number when we started. We were around 5 people. Today, in terms of full-time, 250 people. We started with 0 projects. Now we have 10 projects. We can show you every single one of those projects.
You were telling me the pipeline is 80 billion shillings.
80 billion shillings of projects.
800 million US.
Yeah, and it continues to grow. Our target is to get it to 100 billion of projects under mandate. Around 6,000 units that are coming on the market based on that particular initiative. So 250 people, 80 billion of projects under mandate. Yeah.
Now, people will say to me, Ali Khan, the bank's only giving us 4 or 6% in this new post-interest rate cap regime. How is Edwin delivering 18 to 25%?
It's actually a very simple thing. Ali Khan, assume today you had 1 million shillings. You take it to the bank. What the bank will do today will give you almost 0, at best, 7% return. I'm a developer. I go borrow that same 1 million today. You can go see Kenya Bankers, or online Kenya Bankers Association. They have the all-in cost of borrowing. They'll charge me anywhere between 16 and 20%. So you deposited money with the bank, you got 0. I go take the same money, I'm paying them 18%. We came up with this innovative structure where I can come directly to you in a private offer setting. I take the same 1 million and I offer you 18%. That's why we've been called Mr. 18% in the market, because we offer you 18% guaranteed. This money goes into projects. If the project doesn't pay, Cytonn, with a balance sheet of 18 billion Kenya shillings, will pay that money to you. So on fixed income, we offer 18%. But you can also say, wait a minute, where are you taking the money? You're going to put it into a project, and you are going to get 25%. You're going to pass to me 18%. I want to go directly as an equity investor into that project alongside yourself and also get 25%. But the vast majority of clients in this market would rather say, no, I don't want 25%, where I'm taking equity risk. I could get 80, I could get 0. Just give me 18% and I'm happy. That is why the product has done excellently well. We have From individual clients, since we started 4 years ago, we've raised 7 billion Kenya shillings. From institutional clients like Tallery, we've raised another 3 to 4 billion Kenya shillings.
They were your first, sorry, for people who don't know, they were the first people to invest in Cytonn, right?
Yeah.
They're from Scandinavia. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that?
It has both what I would say a good and bad part. The good part is they knew the team, and when they heard that we had left, and unfortunately our leaving our former employer was highly publicized,
yes,
they looked for us and said, we heard that you've left, we know you as a team, we want to back you up. They gave us a check of 3 billion shillings. Immediately we had left. When we had all that noise, and
not many people who can leave a job and get given 3 billion. Edwin, that's fantastic.
So they were able to see the value in the team, and that.
Had you worked with them before?
We had not worked with them before, but we had talked with them before. And the unique thing about them is that they wanted to invest with a team, not necessarily a big brand.
Yes.
So we had met them, but we were not able to do anything. So they came and backed us up. Now, the part that is usually concerning is, why is it that a firm from abroad is the one that can see value in a team and come in? And I think it's just because of where we are. That's why they call us a developing country, and they are developed. You know, they're able to sift through issues quicker. Majority of our investors, the first 1 or 2 years were foreigners.
Yes.
Because,
really?
Yeah, because they don't get caught up in these local politics.
And they're probably attracted to those 18% returns you were talking about.
Which even local people are attracted to.
Of course, yes.
I think we have a culture of, and as I was telling you, how
yes,
come
because I asked you, the question I asked you was what keeps you up at night. I think you're going to touch on. Just tell us what you said.
Yeah, why is it that when Equity Bank started, it got a lot of bashing? For the last 13 years, how many times are people saying Equity Bank is going down?
Yes.
Today, they are the largest bank by market capitalization. When Uber came to this market, we had street riots by taxi drivers. When M-Pesa started, I think the banks and even central bank wondered, who are you? What right do you have to transfer money? Today, M-Pesa is the largest means of transactions. So I think we still have a culture that's very suspicious of rapid growth and success. But I always tell people, all these guys who are making noise, none of them are our clients.
Yes.
If you talk to any one of our 3,000 clients, and
you have 3,000.
We have 3,000 clients. Find me one Cytonn client who's not happy. There's none.
No. Well, you have like an evangelical bunch of folks. When I started tweeting about Mindspeak, it was all these folks coming on and really very passionate about your brand. I must commend you on that.
And the brand is nothing other than delivery, execution. I mean, talk to anybody who works here. Cytonn is not the easiest employer. We demand execution, we demand excellence, because we know we don't have networks, old boy networks, we don't have a godfather. The only way we can compete is our results. So if you're going to compete with the results, you have to deliver the best results in the market. The reason why Uber is the leading way of hailing taxis because they deliver the best result in that market. The reason why the bottom of the pyramid goes to Equity Bank is because that's the best brand for that part of the market. So for those who want high yield returns and for those who want aspirational real estate, I hope to get some time to go take you to one of our developments.
I would love to. There's one very near where I live.
Yeah, we always want to make sure wherever we have a Cytonn development, anybody can come around, walk around and say, yes, this is the best development in this particular neighborhood. So excellence is the only way that we used to.
You know, there are some concerns that the real estate market is cooling off. Are you worried about that, or you're confident? What distinguishes you from the rest that makes you confident that you can, that you're on a trajectory that's going to continue, even if there are a few bumps in the real estate market, for example?
Let me address it at two levels. One's at a macro level, and one now at a micro level about Cytonn. At a macro level, if you look at the housing deficit, the number is thrown around a lot, 2 million, and growing by 200,000 every year. If you look at the region, people always wonder, why is this real estate so expensive? Because they think their neighbor at work, at home, or the person they sit across is a competition. Kenya is a regional hub. We have things like UNEP, which is a big headquarter for a global organization. I mean, we have regional, global brands, whether it's Visa, whether it's Google, Facebook, coming to. The other day I saw Bechtel from the US. This is a big multinational. Now, when those guys come here, those are the people you're competing with for commercial office, for apartments. So our competition for real estate is not local. When you look at the region, South Sudan, they have oil. Where do they want to own piece of real estate? It's in Kenya. People from Kigali, Kampala, Dar. So Kenya is a good regional and global hub, and that is going to be sustained for a period. Why is it that when we want to fight each other during elections, you have 20 ambassadors calling a press conference? It's not for the love of Kenyans. They have interests here that they want to protect. So based on the regional positioning, based on the housing deficit, the underlying trends for real estate are really sound. But you will have moments of softening, as we have now, because of the interest rate caps and because of extended electioneering. You will have pockets of oversupply, like office blocks in Upper Hill. But generally speaking, when you look at real estate market research, real estate is still growing, but at a slower pace. When markets come back, the growth will be high. That's at the macro level. Now, at the micro level, even at a time when growth in real estate is softening, there are still going to be pockets that are very strong. And the pockets that are strong today are satellite markets, places like Ruaka, places like Athi River. You will rarely find us in a core suburb like Kileleshwa, Kilimani, Muthaiga, unless we are doing a mixed-use development. If you look at the development you are talking about on the bypass, Ridgeways, Ridgeways has a restriction in terms of high-rise. But when you come to just the border of Ridgeways and Kiambu County, that place we buy, you are then allowed to do a high-rise development. How many people want to have the Ridgeways address and all they can afford is an apartment? Many people. So based on market research, we are able to identify pockets of value. If you look at our development in Ruaka, 60% sold a whole year before completion. So if you lead with market research, they're very
That's
attractive.
like a silver bullet. People, real estate investors will all be saying that's amazing that you're doing so much, off plan.
And I always ask them, which of my developments is struggling? Not all of them are stars. There's the 1,000 acres in Athi River is lagging behind for a very specific reason. We need to build a 10-kilometer road. So we are working with the government on that. But other than that, if you look at the one in Karen, 100% sold before delivery.
Those were very, very upmarket and swish. I saw them. Let me ask you another question. What is the structure of the investment? When people on social media, for example, are talking about high yield, structured product, what is the agreement between you and the client? What does it look like?
Now, we have two ways through which we bring money into the firm. The first one is bilateral. We have a contract directly with you. If you have at least 50 million shillings, we shall sit, you'll have your lawyer, we'll have our lawyer. We will write a bilateral agreement and you will say this money goes to XYZ development, this is the return you give me. So for example, with Talent, that's what we do. So you don't need any regulations for bilateral agreement. The second one is high net worth investors. If you look at our securities regulation, the Capital Markets Act, it has two regimes. It has the public market or the public offers regime. That means you want to advertise to all and sundry that come, give me your money, I'll give you a return. Like if you look at the Daily Nation, there's a page with a lot of numbers. Banks are selling, money market funds are selling, equity funds are selling. There is a public interest to protect. That's where now the CMA comes in. There's another regime called private offers. The minimum is 100,000 shillings, and there's a manner of offering it. You can't go put it on a billboard. I have to come to you and do a pre-screening. Does Ali Khan really understand investment? Has he ever done any investment? And to screen out, for lack of a better word, the ordinary mwananchi, they say the minimum is 100,000. If I'm dealing with you under private offers and I respect regulation 21 of the private offers regulation, I don't have to get the product listed. So that is how then we are able to deal with individuals. They put money into a high-yielding vehicle called Cytonn Cash Management Solutions. We have almost 3,000 of these clients.
Yes.
That vehicle, the custodian is Stanchart Custody. We don't touch the money. The money goes to a custodian. The legal advisors are Oraro and Company. The auditors are Grant Thornton, one of the top 6 auditors in the world. That vehicle then puts money into each of the developments that we can go and show you. So when people say that, oh, it's risky, ask them, at least for this one, if anything were to happen, at least you have each and every single of the development. So 70% of the money that we get through either bilateral transaction or individual high net worth investors goes into real estate. The other 30% we invest mainly in financial services.
Tell us a little bit, because I saw when the KCB results came out, for example, you had a very big position in there, and I was wondering, was that a Cytonn proprietary position? Was that a customer position? So you've got people researching and looking at opportunities in the stock market. You've got a great research report that comes out that everyone talks about. Tell us a little bit about that part of the strategy.
Just like real estate, because in real estate we don't use anybody's research. We have 10 people who go out there and get us data so that we can see the non-obvious opportunity, but also you need to identify the non-obvious risks. How could you lose money? People always go into investment asking how much can I make. The first question should be how much can I lose? Because if you're able to preserve your capital, you can fight another day. So the same way we have the research team in real estate, we also have a research team in equities and fixed income. You saw them right out here. And we are fundamental investors. You have to build the model by yourself. And we have to then debate. And we have to say, this security is underpriced. Banks usually trade about 2 times book value in bad markets, at worst 1.5 times book value, but typically 3 times book. So we want to see banks 1.5 to 3 times book. In February, we realized KCB is 0.9 times book. So essentially what the market is saying is that this bank is liquidating. If we are not even willing to give them 1 times their book value. We say this makes no sense. We know KCB, we know their branches, we know Joshua Igara, we have the bank, the government as 17% shareholder. We say the market has it wrong. We took as much money as we could get our hands on. And remember the same model. You give me money, I promise you a rate, because you don't want to take the risks I'm taking.
You're taking the risk, yeah.
So we took that money, almost 800 million shillings, and bought KCB. And sure enough, it was not a straight line, but up and down, but generally rising until it got to somewhere around 40s. I mean, if you take that book generally, we booked returns for what we started buying almost 80% per annum over time, some 50. But if you take the whole portfolio,
what does it look
we've
like?
booked a return of 50% per annum.
Wow.
And my liability is 18%.
Yes.
In one trade, you can collect 300 to 400 million Kenya shillings. I mean, I can pay all my bills. It's a team. It's a team environment. It's not. Edwin is just a team leader.
Yeah.
Yes.
But do you call the shots at the end of the day? Is everyone coming to you, and then you're saying, "Okay, go ahead," or you've empowered people to make those decisions?
In fact, what you'd not notice is that today we actually have our board committee meetings. So my first meeting I was with GT. They have their global leaders program. They asked me to speak.
I saw that, Grant Thornton.
Then I had another meeting with the gentleman who was walking out. Then now with you. You can, as Steve Jobs says, anything worth doing in business is done by a team. You cannot do it as an individual. Every Monday morning, we have our investment meetings. Everybody sits around a table and we evaluate the ideas. What do you think is great and why? We don't like groupthink. You have to really find a way to create tension so that people debate and get the very best ideas. That's on equities.
Yes.
Every Monday, later in Monday, we deal with projects. Which projects are doing well, what's struggling and why, how do we resolve it? Then every Wednesday we deal with real estate research. So we have weekly frameworks where issues are discussed. Every Friday we're dealing with distribution, what's selling, what's not selling, what's struggling, who's producing, what are clients saying. We collect a lot of data. So we have built a culture of excellence, and then we've built a culture of team forums where people can discuss and make decisions. If they can't agree, every Monday we have the OPCO, Now that's the governing body of senior executives who sit and now say, if you guys can't agree, this is the direction we are going. And we make decisions fairly quickly, and it percolates. And so it's both ways. Some are coming down, some are coming up. The only focus is the client. If you deliver excellent client service, excellent return, protect the client interest, people will always wonder, how are you growing?
Is that your secret?
That's our secret, teamwork and excellence. Yeah.
Edwin, I don't want to talk anymore because we'll give everything away before we do Mind Speak.
I'm looking forward to Mind Speak.
I'm so excited. Yeah. We are hosting, by the way, you're most welcome to come. We're at the Intercontinental on Saturday. We serve breakfast at 9:30 and we start at 10. And Edwin is going to share his secrets and Cytonn secrets. You know, when I first got to the trading floor in the early 90s, there was George Soros made £1 billion off the Bank of England, and somebody that people forget about was his trading partner, was a guy called Stanley Druckenmiller. And your comments remind me of what Stanley said. Stanley said it's all about capital preservation and hitting the home runs when you can hit them. And you've reminded me of Druckenmiller today. That's
all we try to do.
Yes.
And there are a lot of what I would call doubters
in
the market. I really hope they can make it for this Mind Speak.
Have they made you stronger, or have they made you, or do you find it annoying?
The distractors in the market have made us stronger, because every time they try something to distract, you have to sit and say, like for example, we came up with Open to Talk, where we said, any question somebody asks, we are going to drop the answers in this website so that anybody can go and read this. So they've really made us stronger, because you know that there are people in the market who are waiting to see you fail, and you just have to make sure that you prove them wrong. We are now in our 4th year. They said we would never last a year.
80 billion shilling pipeline. Yeah. Balance sheet, how much did you say?
Balance sheet is 18 billion.
Yes.
And in terms of pipeline, 80 billion. So of the 82 billion, we've already raised 18 of it. Yeah.
We look forward to hearing from you on Saturday. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Edwin.
I shall be there with the team.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.